Welcome back everybody to another Real Chums movie review. Today we will be discussing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. Actually, Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. Look, if you're new to our channel here at Real Chums, we do movie reviews like this one, trailer reactions. We also have a weekly podcast where we break down and analyze some of our favorite movies voted by you, the listeners. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss a review or a discussion from us. Now let's jump into this movie. Look, I had mixed expectations. Mission Impossible has consistently delivered great stories, wild action sequences, and genuinely strong character arcs. But at the same time, the last entry, Dead Reckoning, didn't exactly set the box office on fire. Partly due to the strikes and also because it lost its IMAX screens to Oppenheimer. So the big question for me was, are people still invested in this franchise? Is a $300 million Mission Impossible movie worth it? How far is Tom Cruise willing to risk his life for entertainment? All of these questions and so much more. But let's talk about whether this actually feels like a finale, because with the word final right there in the title and Tom Cruise shifting gears with a Warner Brother deal, it kind of has to be a final, right? I will be discussing various spoilers from here on out, so you've been warned. Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning picks up a few months after the events of Dead Reckoning. Ethan Hunt and the IMF team are still chasing the rogue AI called the Entity, which has now infected global defense systems. Meanwhile, every government agency seems to be tracking Ethan, making this feel more like a manhunt than an espionage mission. This movie is connected to Dead Reckoning and the franchise in general, but it goes out of its way to flashback, re-explain, and even retcon a few things to bring you up to speed. If you haven't seen the others, especially the last one, Dead Reckoning, you will get plenty of exposition to follow along. But you will be missing some key character relationships and setups, such as Haley Atwell's Grace character. Now, the stakes? Sure, there's global catastrophe. But more than anything, this movie continues to remind us that for Ethan, it's personal. His mission is always about protecting his team. The world might be at risk, but Ethan Hunt is always concerned and worried about his people. Let's discuss some of the action, because this is where the movie really delivers. You've seen the biplane stunt teased in the posters and the trailers, but seeing it play out in full, completely unreal. Tom Cruise is clinging to the wing of an open cockpit plane as it spirals through the sky. At one point, the guy is literally upside down in midair. That alone is truly worth the price of admission. There's also a tense submarine sequence with no dialogue that builds so much suspense. I literally found myself holding my breath. And some of the best editing in the franchise is in this film. There's fight sequences between two different groups that seamlessly blend and feel super satisfying. Visually, this movie's gorgeous. The cinematography during the stunt sequences, flawless. It's kind of a bummer that the Oscars won't recognize stunts until 2027, because this movie would probably win it. That said, the espionage element, it's kind of lacking. I don't think there's any mask reveals in this entire movie, which feels so off for a Mission Impossible. The spycraft isn't quite as layered as it has been in the past, so that's a bit of a missing element for me. Let's talk Tom Cruise. He still brings it physically. The running, the fights, the stunts, he's all in. But emotionally, he feels tired. Whether that's the point of the character or a byproduct of the production delays, the franchise fatigue, his age, I'm not sure. But there's definitely less of that signature Ethan Hunt charm this time around. And the team, honestly, that might be my biggest issue. This movie has too many characters to juggle. You have returning Luther, Benji, Claire. They don't get enough screen time. Angela Bassett comes back and is great. She carries some of the large emotional beats here, but I feel like she's a bit underutilized. I wanted more of Henry Czerny's Kittredge. He's incredible. Also, Haley Atwell, who was phenomenal in the last movie, I felt like she got a bit sidelined here. She deserves more. There's new characters played by Nick Offerman, Hannah Waddingham, and Tramell Tillman from Severance. They're all introduced, but then they just basically disappear. There is just too much going on and not enough room for real character moments. There are some emotional payoffs. Luther gets a nice send-off, but for me, it wasn't enough to anchor the movie emotional. So, does this feel like the end? Not really. Even though Tom Cruise most recently at a red carpet event, has said that this is it. It's not called final for nothing. This movie doesn't wrap things up. It doesn't feel conclusive the way Mission Impossible 3 did, for example, with real closure and character arcs coming to a full circle. Instead, we get a bunch of callbacks that range from fun to forced. William Dunlow from the first film, great to see him, but the reveal that Shea Wiggum's character is Jim Phelps Jr., are you kidding me? Why? Completely unnecessary. We find out what the rabbit's foot is from Mission Impossible 3, but did we need to? Not really. It feels like the movie wants everything to tie back together, but not all of it works. And because of that, it doesn't leave you with the sense that this is a chapter closing. If anything, it leaves the door wide open. And I'm okay with that. If they gave the torch to someone like Haley Atwell and let Ethan evolve into more of a mentor role within the IMF. There's room for more stories here, but this does not feel like it's the end. Let's discuss the runtime, because this movie is long. 2 hours and 49 minutes, and you feel it. The action scenes fly by, but everything in between, it drags a bit. There are too many characters, not enough development, and it leans heavily on exposition to keep the plot moving. We know there's stuff that was left on the cutting room floor, and you can tell. Some arcs don't land. Some character motivations feel half-baked, and the pacing suffers as a result from it. So, the final verdict. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, gives us more of what we've come to love. High-flying stunts, slick editing, and Tom Cruise yet again defying death. But as a conclusion, it doesn't quite land for me. The heart of Mission Impossible has always been Ethan and his team. And while the action still thrills, this entry doesn't give us enough time with the characters we care about. It tries to connect too many dots and loses a lot of its emotional core along the way. But hey, I'd still watch another one. I'd love to see Haley Atwell carry the torch, and I hope this franchise isn't really saying goodbye just yet. I doubt Paramount is ready to say goodbye. I've usually rated all of these movies either a 9 or a 10, except for Mission Impossible 2, which is just the weird outlier. But this is probably the weakest entry in the franchise. Again, not including Mission Impossible 2. When all of these movies are either a 9 or a 10, I would say this is probably a 7.5 or an 8. It's good, but is it great? I don't think so. Look, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you thought in the comments. What was your favorite moment? Did you enjoy this final entry? Comment below, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe for more reviews for our weekly podcast right here every Sunday on Real Champs. And lastly, your mission, should you choose to accept, is to keep watching awesome movies and to subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one.